Tonight on NewsWatch, it's been 1 year since Navy SEALs killed Osama bin Laden. Should President Obama be taking credit in new campaign ads?
Plus, fighting for religious freedom, Christian college students take their case to the State House.
And we explore the growing trend of Chrislam, why former Muslims are becoming Christian but still attending mosque. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Well, it was exactly 1 year ago tonight. Navy SEALs swooped into Pakistan and killed the world's most wanted man. Good evening, everyone. I'm George Thomas.
And I'm Lori Johnson. The death of Osama bin Laden was a major victory in the war on terror. But tonight, as we reach the 1 year anniversary, security across the nation and overseas is on high alert. There are concerns over a new type of bomb. President Obama is marking the occasion by making a surprise visit to Afghanistan. Under intense security and the cover of night, the president landed in the country. He's meeting with Afghan President Hamid Karzai. The two leaders will sign an agreement on the U.S. role in Afghanistan after the U.S. troop drawdown. The president will also be delivering a speech to update Americans on the situation there. All this while a new campaign ad promoting the president's role in bin Laden's death is raising eyebrows, including those of Navy SEALs. Our terrorism analyst Eric Stakelbeck is standing by to break it all down. But first, Mark Martin starts our coverage tonight.
Osama bin Laden lost his life at the hands of SEAL Team 6 inside a compound in Pakistan. 1 year later, U.S. authorities are studying the possibility of terrorists using body bombs with no metal parts to get past airport security. Medical experts say a terrorist could have explosives surgically implanted in his or her body.
The surgeon would open the abdominal cavity and literally implant the explosive device in and amongst the internal organs.
As a result, security is tighter at airports in the U.S., the United Kingdom, and the Middle East. U.S. authorities say they're turning up the radiation used in screening to try to detect body bombs. U.S. officials say publicly there is no credible information of an imminent attack. However, the White House warns al-Qaeda's group in Yemen remains a significant threat.
It continues to seek the opportunity to strike our homeland.
He had to decide, and that's what you hire a president to do.
President Obama ordered the raid inside Pakistan to kill bin Laden, but a new campaign ad promoting that decision and questioning what Mitt Romney would have done is drawing criticism. In the London Daily Mail, some current and former Navy SEALs are criticizing President Obama for taking credit for killing bin Laden. A former SEAL sniper says using it as a political attack is a cheap shot. However, many of the SEALs do believe the president should get credit for his decision. President Obama dismissed the idea of excessive celebrating or gloating.
I think for us to use that time for some reflection, to give thanks to those who participated, is entirely appropriate, and that's what's been taking place.
The White House continues to insist Romney would not have made the same call when it came to bin Laden. In 2007, Romney said it wasn't, quote, worth moving heaven and earth, spending billions of dollars just to catch one person. Romney says the president should get credit for the raid's success, but he says, quote, any American, any thinking American would have ordered exactly the same thing. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Thanks, Mark. Our terrorism analyst, Eric Stakelbeck, joins us now from Washington. Eric, all week leading up to this anniversary, we've been hearing from the administration that al-Qaeda is down. They've been hurt severely. What is your take? Do they still have the resources and the punch to pull off another major attack here on U.S. soil?
Well, George, I don't know that right now they have the ability to carry out another 9/11 style attack, but a few things to keep in mind here. Number one, yes, their hierarchy in Pakistan has been weakened. We've seen bin Laden killed, other al-Qaeda leaders killed. Okay, that's clear. But al-Qaeda now covers more ground geographically than they did before 9/11, George, from Pakistan to Yemen, Somalia, North Africa, Iraq once again, Europe. So al-Qaeda is spreading their wings geographically. That said, their shift, George, and we've talked about this a lot on the show over the past few months, their shift has been to these smaller scale attacks. Think Fort Hood, Think the underwear bomber. Think the Mumbai attack in India, where you had 10 well-armed young jihadis fan out across the city with assault rifles. Low-tech, inexpensive, smaller scale. This is the new blueprint, and it's a major threat, George. We just uncovered al-Qaeda documents, German intelligence did, saying, yes, that al-Qaeda is looking to attack cruise liners, looking to carry out these Mumbai-style attacks in Western cities. So not necessarily looking for the home run 9/11 style attack, but the smaller scale attacks, big threat still, absolutely.
Is Ayman al-Zawahiri still #1 in terms of the top terrorist in the world?
He is, George. He was bin Laden's top deputy for a number of years, but Ayman al-Zawahiri, really even more so than bin Laden, is a true ideologue. This is a guy who's been in this jihadi game for about 30 years now, always been a leading voice. George, he's not a very charismatic guy. He doesn't have bin Laden's charismatic personality that draws people to him, but he's competent. He's a true ideologue, and he's involved operationally in a lot of al-Qaeda's attacks. The 2005 London bombings, George, had Zawahiri's fingerprints on them.
Eric, I thought it was interesting in all the documents they uncovered in the bin Laden compound in Pakistan, new revelation that bin Laden was even considering changing the name Al-Qaeda because he felt like the war on terror, in essence, had put so much attention on Al-Qaeda, and he felt like the name was taking a bad hit around the world. Is there a sense that perhaps the Al-Qaeda fighters are feeling the low morale because of the war, the drone attacks and so forth?
I think absolutely, George. I think in Pakistan, the morale must be low among al-Qaeda's hierarchy. But by the same token, as I said, they have spread out geographically. And the name change is interesting, George, because the name al-Qaeda has a stigma among many. They've killed a lot of Muslims as well, let's remember. But at the end of the day, something that would raise the morale would be a successful attack. They know that. They have to maintain their jihadi street cred, George, because you look at Hezbollah, Iran, even the Turkish government. These are now the Muslim Brotherhood. These are groups, entities that are emerging as the real vanguard of this jihadist movement. Al-Qaeda needs to do something to stay relevant.
And now we're seeing this, the spread of Islamists all across the Middle East, pretty much from Casablanca all the way to Damascus, Syria. Eric Stakelbeck, great to have you back on the broadcast. Keep us posted on these developments. Laurie?
Thanks, George.
Police arrest 5 men today suspected of planning to blow up a bridge near Cleveland. The target was a bridge over a national park just 15 miles south of downtown. The FBI ran an undercover sting operation to catch the men. The suspects range in age from 20 to 35 years old. Investigators say at least 3 of them are self-described anarchists. The FBI says there was never any danger to the public. The explosive devices used in the sting were not real. Today is May 1st, which marks International Workers' Day. The Occupy Wall Street organizers held marches across the globe. They're trying to breathe new life into their movement. Websites around the world are calling for a general strike, meaning no work, no school, no banking, and no shopping. Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center says the Occupy movement is using this May Day to gain support for their cause.
Haymarket riots in Chicago about 125 years ago or so. What they're trying to do is really get the union movement strongly behind Occupy Wall Street. And it is in a pretty large way. There are 83 groups backing this protest. Most of them you'll find are different unions. It's obvious that the real hardcore left are the ones who are behind Occupy Wall Street. So whether it's unions or the so-called progressives of the left, they're trying to force the United States to take a hard left turn, whether we want it or not.
And to see our full interview with Dan, go to our website, cbnnews.com.
Bloody fighting in Syria continues despite a United Nations presence in that country. Syrian activists say at least 11 people were killed today in mortar attacks, including 4 women and 2 children. The violence there was supposed to end on April 12th. That's when the UN brokered a ceasefire between the Syrian regime and opposition forces. But that ceasefire clearly never really took hold. Some experts worry the country will soon fall into an all-out civil war. Over 9,000 people have died since the uprising began over a year ago. The clouds of war may be gathering in the Middle East. Israel is getting ready to attack Iran's nuclear program. One Israeli journalist recently got some inside information on Israel's plans. CBN's Chris Mitchell talked to him about how Israel might strike and how it could lead to an all-out war.
Alon Ben-David is the military correspondent for Israel's Channel 10. His groundbreaking story revealed how the Israeli Air Force and its pilots are preparing to strike Iran's nuclear program.
I was surprised by the level of openness that I found among the Air Force pilots, which are usually not that candid. Maybe it's a sense that something is going down soon, or maybe it's a sense that they want to prepare the public to have more reasonable expectations from what's about to happen vis-à-vis Iran.
Ben-David says while the pilots couldn't specifically mention Iran, their meaning was clear. They also know it will be far more difficult than past missions, destroying nuclear reactors in Iraq and Syria.
It's something else much more complicated, combined with the risk of an all-out war.
If Israel does attack Iran, what kind of pushback or retaliation are they expecting?
I think we need to be prepared to all options. It is most likely that Hezbollah will join in and will strike Israel. Then Syria might be part of it, Gaza could be part of it. We need to be prepared for a multi-front conflict if we go into Iran.
A multi-front conflict that could affect all of Israel.
Hezbollah is prepared to shower about 1,000 rockets and missiles on Israel per day of fighting. Among them about 100 missiles on Tel Aviv. So this city is going to look and feel completely different than it is today. And this is something we haven't experienced in the 64 years of Israeli independence.
So far, negotiations between Iran and 6 other nations, including the U.S., have produced nothing. Ben-David says the next round on May 23rd is crucial.
Well, I think it's a make or break meeting, and if we won't see a determined international front against the Iranians or some international effort to persuade the Iranians to step down, I don't want to be in the shoes of the Israeli Prime Minister, but he might have to take a tough decision.
How does the dynamic of the U.S. politics come in? I mean, they're in the midst of a presidential election. Is that a major consideration?
I think Netanyahu fears that after November 12, Obama is not going to be a partner he can count on. And you can see the rough exchange between those two gentlemen. There's very little trust between those two leaders, but this is one of the reasons Israel is feeling that time is running out, that something needs to be decided until November.
Are we coming to the moment of truth?
We are getting very close to the moment of truth. There's a school of thought among most of the Israeli leadership that these are the last moments that anyone can do anything about the Iranian nuclear program. Once it will go underground and beneath all these layers of concrete and rock.
He emphasizes Iran is not just a danger to Israel.
Just imagine the kind of organizations that exist in this region, and then imagine them with the proliferation of nuclear weapons. That's not a safe world to live in. So I think that there's an international interest in preventing Iran from obtaining that capability.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Tel Aviv.
Coming up, Christians at Vanderbilt University fight for the right to stay on campus. They're taking their case to the Capitol.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, call now for a new pain-free meter. These new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Call now, and Arriva Medical will send you one of these new meters for free. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Arriva makes it simple. They bill Medicare directly. There are no upfront costs. And they deliver your supplies right to your door for free. With these new meters, there's no coding, you don't have to prick your fingers, and some of these meters even talk.
Your blood glucose reading is 122.
And if you call 1-800-284-9762, we will send you a free Betty Crocker Diabetes Cookbook filled with delicious recipes.
Call Arriva today. You'd be glad you did.
Attention Medicare beneficiaries. Do you have breathing problems like asthma, chronic bronchitis, emphysema, or COPD? Then you may qualify for Medicare coverage of your respiratory medications. To see if you qualify, call Med4Home. Med4Home is a specialty pharmacy. They offer a wide variety of respiratory medications, which may be covered under your Medicare Part B benefits. Let Med4Home's team of experts work for you. They'll work directly with your doctor. They'll deliver right to your home and call you monthly for refills and to see how you're doing. Best of all, they'll handle the Medicare paperwork for you. It's so easy. And if you have supplemental insurance, there may be little or no out-of-pocket expense. Let Med4Home's team of experts work for you. Call Med4Home now to see if you qualify. For more information, call 1-800-321-0089. That's 1-800-321-0089.
Tennessee lawmakers are now backing Christian students at Vanderbilt University. The House and Senate passed a bill that seeks to overturn the controversial all-comers policy.
It requires student clubs to consider anyone for leadership, regardless of their beliefs. Christian groups say it's impossible for them to follow that rule. Here's Heather Sells.
Vanderbilt Catholic is one student group that has decided it won't apply for official status as a campus organization next year. The reason, the all-comers policy, which allows anyone to run for a leadership position.
We can't make an affirmation that that's how we're going to operate. That really just wouldn't be true. It would be lying to the university, because we really believe that faith-based criteria are essential to carry out our mission.
Other student groups are waiting on the university to find out if their faith-based constitutions will be approved. But they're not holding their breath.
If we do get moved off campus, I don't think we're going to just disappear. If anything, that may kind of raise awareness as to why, well, there's a lack of Christian organizations on campus. Why is that?
The university maintains that its policy isn't about religious freedom, but rather non-discrimination. Now lawmakers are getting involved, backing the Christian students. Their bill says a religious student organization may determine that the organization's religious mission requires that only persons professing the faith of the group qualify to serve as members or leaders. The governor will now decide the fate of this bill, and he may veto it. He told reporters last week that while he opposes Vanderbilt's policy, he doesn't think lawmakers should get involved. Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, what is Chrislam? Why these former Muslims say they are Christians but still perform Islamic rituals.
John Mapes is 42, mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
Believe it or not, this is a catheter. It's the new SpeedyCath Compact for women. Now available from Liberator Medical with full Medicare and private insurance reimbursement. Stay tuned for an exciting free offer. But first, meet Julie.
You know when you leave the house and you say, okay, I have my phone, I have my keys, I have my wallet, I'm good to go? Now I always have to think of a catheter because I can't go without it. SpeedyCath came into my life and it is life-changing. They're tiny and thin and you can fit them in your back pocket. You can fit them anywhere you need them. This is a lipstick or lip gloss and this is the size of it. With this, you're only touching the outer plastic and you're never actually in contact with the catheter itself. You just really have to give a sample. That's all it needs is one sample and everyone's going to want them.
Now, here's that free offer I promised. Call Liberator Medical. Get your free SpeedyCath Compact sample 6-pack. Shipping is free. 1-800-595-1446. 1-800-595-1446.
Satellite television, radio, and the internet are creating new opportunities for Muslims to hear the gospel. But in the Islamic world, not all churches welcome Muslims seeking to know more about Christ.
And that's forcing many former Muslims to start their own fellowships. Gary Lane brings us this report on a growing movement that's challenging the global church.
What happens to a Muslim seeking to discover more about Christianity by stepping out of the mosque and into a church?
There is so much risk, there is so much danger.
Some people are afraid to accept you, for they have fear.
They are very concerned about what's the government going to say. If we are out converting Muslims, that potentially puts a target on our backs.
Rejected by traditional churches, a growing number of Christians from a Muslim background are now seeking to worship in their own way. Open Doors USA President Carl Moeller says it's like a fourth branch of Christianity.
Muslims are turning to faith in Jesus Christ, and out of that that movement is emerging an entirely new way of expressing Christianity within the context of the Middle Eastern culture.
Palestinian Samir Mohammed is a Muslim background believer, or MBB. He prefers to fellowship with others like him.
We understand each other. The Muslim believer meet together, worship together, and this is good for these people.
However, these communities are also at risk of misunderstanding important Christian doctrines.
As Muslims start their own house churches, is there a problem or, let's say, a challenge of possibly them becoming heretical?
Many of them, because God's word is difficult to get a hold of, find it easy to be misled and led astray by those that develop heretical or aberrant theological practices.
Some call this growing trend Chrislam, a blend of Christianity and Islam. Others refer to it as the insider movement. It's a practice where Christians from a Muslim background still attend mosque and perform Islamic rituals. Mohammed says Christians in the West are advancing the idea.
For me, I don't want the people, the Muslim people, to come in this way to Jesus. For me, this is still Muslim. We are a new people in Jesus. No Islam more, no Muhammad, no Quran. We don't believe this is from the Satan for me. This is not from God.
Former Muslim Rashid is the host of the Christian television talk show Daring Questions.
If a Muslim believes in Jesus Christ and he wants to stay practicing his Islamic faith, it will not work because there are so many pagan rituals in Islam. Imagine bringing witchcraft to Christianity and saying, let's just do both of them and there is no harm and we stay Christians while practicing witchcraft. It doesn't work. So the same thing within Islam.
While he doesn't support the insider movement or Chrislam, VOM's Todd Nettleton says he can see the value of MBBs attending mosque.
They're able to lead other people to Christ because they go to the mosque and maybe they strike up a conversation. Well, what did you pray for today? And so they have opportunities. Well, I prayed to Jesus to heal someone, or I prayed to Jesus to provide for my family.
I'm an MBB, and I still go to the mosque. What message I'm communicating to the Muslims? I'm telling them I'm still a Muslim. I'm not saying to them I changed. Jesus Christ changed my life. I'm a new person. What a Muslim praying next to me will understand. He will think I'm a Muslim.
Rashid says many of his Muslim viewers have embraced the Christian faith because they're not satisfied spiritually. They're seeking justice and truth, virtues they are not finding in Islam, politics, and revolution. Mohammed says once Muslims accept Christ, they need help growing in the faith.
You need to take care for MBB to give him the good discipleship. Jesus say, go and disciple the people.
A challenge for the global church as this new Christian movement advances throughout the Islamic world. Gary Lane, CBN News.
John Mapes is 42, mortgage, married, 2 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. John can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $25 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll search the pick of insurers like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. John's wife, Carrie, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or visit SelectQuote.com.
Believe it or not, this is a catheter. It's the new SpeedyCath Compact for women. Now available from Liberator Medical with full Medicare and private insurance reimbursement. Stay tuned for an exciting free offer. But first, meet Julie.
You know when you leave the house and you say, okay, I have my phone, I have my keys, I have my wallet, I'm good to go? Now I always have to think of a catheter because I can't go without it. SpeedyCath came into my life and it is life-changing. They're tiny and thin and you can fit them in your back pocket. You can fit them anywhere you need them. This is a lipstick or lip gloss and this is the size of it. With this, you're only touching the outer plastic and you're never actually in contact with the catheter itself. You just really have to give a sample. That's all it needs is one sample and everyone's gonna want them.
Now, here's that free offer I promised. Call Liberator Medical. Get your free SpeedyCath Compact Sample 6-pack. Shipping is free. 1-800-595-1446. 1-800-595-1446.
The entire Bible is being read out aloud on the U.S. Capitol steps.
From Genesis to Revelation, it took readers about 90 straight hours to complete the task. The volunteers never stopped reading, not even when it started pouring down rain. It's all part of the 23rd Annual Capitol Bible Reading Marathon. Take a look.
We're standing on the west steps of the U.S. Capitol, where a group of Christian volunteers will read through the entire Bible over a 90-hour period.
Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
It's an awesome feeling to stand where we're standing with the U.S. Capitol behind us and the flag of this great nation flying, and you're standing behind a Bible-shaped podium reading God's word across this great nation.
The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the third day. It's incredible to live in a country where we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and to be able to stand on the Capitol steps and to proclaim God's word, not just over the National Mall, but over our nation, is an awesome experience. And you know, the Bible itself says that His word does not return void. And so we believe as we read His word that it goes out and it bears fruit. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number and fill the water in the seas and let the birds increase."
That's great. What a wonderful tradition to read the scriptures at such an important landmark in our nation.
What a statement.
Yeah, absolutely.